And our mission as a Board of Education is to empower all students to reach their highest level of achievement. I want to continue this by saying that none of us expected us to be in this extension of this medical pandemic during this school year or this season of sports and extracurriculars. During the spring of 2020, every school district in this state was forced to shut down school activities, all activities, and schools by an executive order issued by the governor. At the start of the school year 2020-21, we were still operating under the governor's executive orders and giving guidance as to how we would open schools and schools would allow activities to be conducted. The board, the former superintendent, Dr. Brinson, and the district office administrators put out guidance for that school year operations, including a mask mandate to not stop the spread, but to help us mitigate. While we shut down classrooms and extracurricular activities that were affected, we did not shut down this school district because our protocols allowed us to stay open. We worked together to put common sense procedures and protocols in place to help us remain open and provide students who wanted to participate in in-person learning an opportunity to do so with extracurricular activities. I feel very proud that the procedures that we put in place on last year worked for our school district, while a lot of other school districts had to cancel and shut down. At the close of last school year, May 2021, the governor's executive orders expired, and this board took action to lift the mask mandate and to have no free range of virtual options. We, as a nation, as a state and a county, experienced a true decline in this pandemic and even allowed our graduation to be open with no restrictions, while other districts put limits on their graduations or not had one at all. This board and administration has been open to listen to many people, work with community leaders to discuss our operations, and at the end of this summer of 2021, the United States, the state of Georgia, and Wayne County experienced a surge in COVID infections that we all thought was behind us. As chairman, I contacted Chairman Hires of the County Commission to call the community leaders and COVID task force back together to discuss what we could and should do for each of our organizations. Not only did we involve mayors and administrators of the city and county, but law enforcement executives, medical executives, and major corporation executives to share ideas and advice that we could all work together to help our community function in this new phase of this pandemic. This board worked with Dr. Kelly to support his vision and share our ideas right before the start of school. One issue that we all ran into was bringing back the mask mandate. As it was addressed in the protocols and procedures, the board took action to remove it, and we must take action to rescind that action or to make a new action for administrators to follow. Many constituents respectfully shared their feelings on that issue. Some supported the mask mandate and some opposed the mask mandate. Some medical officials supported the mask mandate, some opposed it, and some didn't offer an opinion at all. We consulted the Southeast Health District epidemiologists who gave us no firm directive on a mask mandate. And all the discussions that were had, the board was still responsible for making the decision, and we did not decide to rescind that action and move forward. We decided to allow Dr. Kelly to put together a plan of protocols as we, as a board, asked for. We consulted with fellow board members from other counties, as I serve as the District 8 representative and have the opportunity to serve 13 additional counties outside of this county and to have conversations with board chairs all over the Southeast and this state. We consulted with our COVID leader task force group. Our vice chairman participated in that. And we've listened to each and every person that's came forth in public participation, emails, called, and put forth a working document for our system to follow. And I think there's a misunderstanding as to how this documentation is to be. So I'm going to clear that up so everybody here knows it, everybody who's watching, and everybody who works in this district will know it and can explain it. This document should be a continual work for our district office administrative team to make recommendations to the board to make decisions. It is our view as a board that this document should be reviewed daily. That doesn't mean decisions would be changed daily, but information will be given, and we are to give guidance on the transition in the COVID preventative measure protocol. Understand that moving in the protocol and the preventative measure chart only happens when numbers increase and numbers decrease. Without that data, the protocol cannot move forward and it cannot move backward. This measure was put in place so that personal opinions, personal feelings will not get in the way of how school will be conducted to provide a safe environment for all, teachers, staff, and students. The chart is not intended to be abused or be a false guide. We certainly moved the way it tells us. This gave us an opportunity to be normal when there was a decrease in spread, but take precautions as we have an increase. By virtue of the board policy, the superintendent is responsible for day-to-day operations. When there's a meeting, the board has the authority to take action on the recommendations presented. The board has the authority to give advice on the things that are presented to us and offer the superintendent an opportunity to make changes when there's an official meeting of the board. On last Thursday, I met with the superintendent to set the agenda for this Thursday's call meeting, and I suggested to him that anytime this board met for official business or a call meeting for any particular reason, to include why we're here today concerning our millage rate, we would add the COVID update to keep the community aware of the things that are out of official reporting day on Sunday, just as we have done last school year, and we will continue to do this school. On Sunday, August 29th, the official numbers were released by Dr. Burgess to this board and to this community. On Monday, the superintendent reevaluated that, talked with the nursing director, talked with other healthcare officials, and decided that it was time for the district to transition. We were not ready to transition immediately, and his decision was to close schools down beginning on yesterday and be done for Thursday and Friday, and we would rejoin together in a distance learning module on Tuesday. Again, these decisions were made prior to the call meeting and prior to the decision on Monday concerning adding COVID information to keep our community, to keep our teachers, to keep our students aware of the actions that the board will take in an official meeting. And we're going to continue to do that. We'll continue to use our protocol. And as we see an opportunity for us to move and to change and to mitigate, we will be in this board meeting making an official action and giving the superintendents our advice. At this time, I'm going to call the board meeting to order and ask Mr. Harris if he would lead us in the prayer and pledge.
Lord, we come to you and we thank you for today. And God, we lift our county up to our state, our nation as a whole, Lord. Especially right now during this time of all this COVID, and Lord, our healthcare people are just slammed. And Lord, I lift them up to you and ask for strength for them and for guidance for them. God, I pray for guidance for us as a school board, that we'll look to you. Number one, look to you. And God, we'll do exactly what is the best thing for our students and our staff and our school system. Be with us in everything that we do, Lord, and we fail you every day, and I know I do. And I thank you for the fact that you provided forgiveness for me, and then, Lord, you gave me sense enough to know I needed you as my Savior, and I thank you for that. Be with us in everything that we do today and every day. Forgive us where you fail. In your name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pitkin?
Yes, ma'am.
We have public participation. We have 14 people, so that will give us a time limit of about 2 minutes apiece. We'll start with Elisa Anker. Come to the podium, please.
My name is Alyssa Archer. I'm a current senior at Wayne County High School. I'm involved in Varsity Spirit Cheer, and I'm the vice president of FFA. The last home game, the last away game, the last time playing on that field, homecoming, senior night, cheering in that student section at games, the last bell ring. Sorry. These are all vital parts for the senior class. Riding in that senior parade on the last first day of high school was a chance of normalcy. Cheering on that sideline last Friday night despite the loss was a chance of normalcy. March of 2020, we all lived in the fear of uncertainty. What will school be like? Will we even have school? Now, with the decision of going virtual and the canceling of extracurricular activities, we are living in the fear of uncertainty again. Will my senior year be normal? Will my classmates get a chance to fight for their futures and to get out of Wayne County? How many things will we have to give up? We gave up our sophomore year. We gave up our junior year. Will we have to give up our senior year also? Winston Churchill once said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." We have sat and let everything be taken away from us, but stayed positive for 2 years without any complaints. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of everything getting taken away. We must stop living in the fear of uncertainty and instead start living in the sense of normalcy. I'll say that again. We must stop living in the fear of uncertainty and start living in the sense of normalcy. Thank you.
Ms. Maggie Sluter.
I'm Maggie Sluter. I'm a senior at Wayne County High School, and I am on the Wayne County Varsity Competition Team. And we worked all of us for 6 years, going to practice every day. And we lost every competition until last year. And then we went last year and won our first competition, and then we went on to do an undefeated season, first ever in Wayne County High School history. And then we won region, and we just want another chance to do that again. We have the team to do it, but we just feel like it's kind of been taken away. And we feel like that one sport shouldn't be punished if another sport has so many more cases than another, that we should be able to take precautions for our sport and do what we need to do to have another good season. I just ask that we would go by school, a sport by sport basis, so we won't be held accountable for bigger sports or smaller sports, that we'll be able to held out our season as long as we can and be accountable for our team. And like Maggie said, we have worked countless hours and spent countless time with our team to make this an opportunity. And we want to defend the region title this year, but we won't be able to if we don't have the opportunity to be in our sports.
And it's not just us, I'm sure it's other sports too that would still like to defend their titles or win games and finish out their season, because some of these students are dependent on scholarships to go play and just go to college and go to different schools to get out. Our first competition was supposed to take place on September 18th this year, and we have to have a certain amount of hours to be able to compete at region, and that includes 4 to 5 invitationals And if we're not able to compete at the first competition or the second competition or any of the invitationals, we won't be able to attend region or state. So please take that into account.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gracie Anderson. Is that what you, okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Kanaya McClendon.
Hi, my name is Kanaya McClinton. I am a varsity cheerleader. I do band and as well as being a team leader on the board. But this year, I think my biggest takeaway was that I wanted to do any and everything I can to make myself happy. Because these past 2 years of high school, I have just been low on the radar, basically, I guess you could say, and just getting by as I can. But I wanted this year to be the most phenomenal and exceptional year I've ever had. And to know that it's been taken away from me is something that I just can't stand by and watch. And one of my main things was that I'm tired of people whose future this does not concern speaking over me. I'm tired of people older in the community, which no offense just or anything like that. I'm tired of them who aren't going to have to graduate this year, who aren't going to have to take that big step across that stage, who aren't going to have to do all the stuff that I have to do this year, speaking over me and taking my stuff away from me. I can't do it anymore. They've been doing it for as long as I can remember, since I was young. It was let the adults take care of this, let the adults do this. But for once, can you please let us get in front of this situation and let us make a decision? We're tired of having people talk over us. It's too much. And a lot of this situation is that we understand that you care for us and understand that you want to be the ones that protect us, but at some point you have to let us grow. Like taking away these extracurriculars is something that these kids depend on. Some people don't have the best home to go to. Some people don't have that foundation that they have when they're in sports. So to take that stuff away and even take away in-school learning is not helping in the way that you think it is. I understand the cases and everything. I really do. I've done my research. But at some point, you have to stop and realize what we need. Not what you think we need, what we actually need. Because we are literally, from the last time we went virtual, we were struggling. We didn't know what we were doing because it was such a crazy, hazy time. And we just want for people to stop talking over us and let us speak and let us get in on the situation. We're tired of having people speak over us and telling us what they think is best for us when we know what is best for us. If you don't give us the chance to speak about what's best for us, you'll never know. And you'll never have the chance to understand why we hate this, why we don't like this, why we don't agree with this. It's because we're constantly spoken over. And we just ask as a student body for you to not speak over us. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, Benjamin Thomas.
Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Thomas. I'm a junior at Wayne County High School, and today I just wanted to bring up just a few points. First is that I know me and most of the students would like to go back to school full time, and one of the big things for me is the schedule. When I go to school, I know I'm at school at 8 o'clock. I'm there by 8 o'clock, and the school day is over at 3:10. That's when I go to football every day. But that the time in between 8 o'clock and 3:10 is super important to me because each class has a schedule that's laid out for me, and I know that for an hour and a half or so, I'm going to be at each class, and I have a set time to do each class. When I'm at home, and I get up at 7, we read our Bible story like we do every morning, and I start class around 8, but maybe I'll procrastinate for a little while. The bell doesn't ring at my house, so I'll sit around until 8:30, and then I'll start doing my work at 8:30, and all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock at 9:50. I have to go to my college class on Monday, Wednesday. So that's a little bit of a schedule for me. But then after my college class ends at 11:05, I go home and then I'll start my work at 12. Well, 12's lunch. I gotta eat lunch. So I take, instead of the 25 minutes of school we have for lunch, I'll take an hour. I have time. It's only 1 o'clock. Adults get they get a whole hour for lunch. So I'll take an hour. And then 1 o'clock comes, and then I got to clean up a little bit, and I got to do this, and then mom and dad, they wanted me to run an errand today, so I'll go do all that. Then all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock and I haven't done any school, and that's when my school day ends. So normally I go outside, I work out, I do my extracurricular activities, I practice football, I practice punting, and I do the stuff I normally do, and it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I still haven't done any schoolwork. I've procrastinated my day away, and that's something I have to work on personally. But with school, it doesn't allow you to do that. You can't waste time because the bell rings, the teachers get started. And the second thing I want to do is sports after school. When most of the kids they go to school through 10 and they go do something after school. A lot of kids they go to sport. Like I play football, I swim, and I play soccer. So I do sports all year round. And after school every day, I go do a sport, and that helps me reflect on my day, move on, think about all the stuff I have to do for my work, all my schoolwork I have to do. And it just gives the kids a thing to do after school, something productive to do. They learn how to be a leader. They learn how to work with a team. They learn, just valuable life skills to help them in their future. But now that we don't have sports, people are going through their day with nothing to do, and they just sit at home and don't learn. They don't work out. They don't go outside. They just sit around and play video games or just do nothing. And then the day's over, and the next day comes, and they'll do an assignment, they'll do half an assignment, they'll turn it in, forget to turn it in. The teachers are putting stuff on there, but it's not like it's not like person to person. It's not relatable. If I'm watching a video and I have a question, I either have to hope they answer my question, or I have to take the time to email the teacher instead of just raising my hand. You can't just raise your hand in the video, so it just makes it a lot harder if we're not going to school, if we don't have a schedule, if we don't have a set time to do things in our day. If we don't have sports to go to, if we don't, can't even hang out with our friends because they have their own stuff to do, and there's not a set time for any of that.
Morning. My name is Wcboe, and I come for everyone here today with all respect and humility. I plead with you to give our student body the same chance to participate in extracurricular activities as our surrounding counties. Football is important to me and a part of my future and my life, but all sports and all activities deserve to have the same sort of normalcy. For seniors, this is our last chance. One thing we know for sure is COVID's not going anywhere. And hard decisions always have to be made. Constant fear is not an option. We, the senior class, plead with you, the board, to give us a chance, reinstate extracurricular activities, and allow us to take the proper precautions to be safe as possible. But in the end, we have to put our trust and our faith in God. The Bible says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Thank you.
Addie Grinder. Ms. Caitlin Brown.
My name is Kaden Brown, and I'm on varsity spirit cheer. I've cheered all 4 years of my high school career. I've looked forward to my senior year all 4 years. This is my last season and year at this high school, and my favorite thing to do is cheer on those Friday nights. Friday night lights is what I look forward to every single week during football season. Win or lose, I cheer my heart out for them boys. Taking this away is something that absolutely crushes me as a student and as a cheerleader. I just hope and pray that you all as a board listen and understand where we're coming from and take our words in your head and use them. because I don't see how y'all could look us in the face and take away our senior year as easily as y'all have. Thank you.
Ashley Miguel. Ashley Miguel. Shay Simmons. Samantha Jacobs.
Good morning. We appreciate you all taking the opportunity to listen. And I will say that we certainly do not take this matter lightly at all. It's a very serious predicament that we are currently in. We obviously are faced with a time that we would not normally be faced with, and I do not envy the decisions that have to be made on behalf of this board. However, I will say that I'm here today as a parent. I'm here today as a parent of a varsity softball player. I would like to keep in mind, and I know this goes for cheer, softball, football, it goes for a lot of the other activities as well. This is not something that these children just show up on their game day, put on a smile, and then anticipate that they'll play. My child in particular, she takes hitting lessons, she takes pitching lessons, she does speed and agility training. She then shows up to those varsity practices. She then shows up in our garage to hit into a bow net. She then shows up to pitch to me on a Sunday afternoon. She does all these things for her sport, but it's more than that. It is something that they're involved in. It's something that they're invested in. It's something that gives them pride. It is the same thing for these other cheerleaders and these other sports contenders. These are the events they look forward to. In addition to their physical health, we are asking that you consider these children's emotional health. And if you take away their ability to participate in these activities, you're essentially taking away their ability to compete at all. Understand, in this instance, if you take away 2 weeks, say it's 2 weeks, those cheerleaders probably will not have the hours they need to compete. If you take away 2 weeks from softball, we will not be competitive. It ends our season. That's it. For our seniors, that's the end of it. Some of them aren't going on to play college ball. For our other athletes, granted, they'll have next year, we hope. But that's the same thing we thought last year. There are provisions that you can put in place. In accordance to the CDC guidelines, there is an assessing the risk for sports. It is outlined. The risk that you all have considered is the community assessment, COVID guidelines and data. And I understand you also have considered within our system. I have a fear for the consideration within our system because I'm not sure that that's accurately accounting for the numbers that fall off and the numbers that come back on. For instance, in the program, when I look at the data and material, it appears to have the individuals that come on from a positive test or those that are also in quarantine. But then how does it drop those individuals back off so that we're looking at realistic numbers? That's A. So I think the number data is a concern as to how they're actually looking at that data, because I don't know how we'll ever come above 4% if people are not falling off that calculation. But the COVID CDC guidelines as far as a sports risk assessment go further. They go into the physical closeness of the players, the level of the intensity of the activity. It also goes into the length of time that they are within close proximity. Like, for instance, when you look at different sports, they handle things differently. I will say that as far as softball is concerned, I know that at some point I discussed with some people and they referenced the ball going from one area to another. In our instance, last season, we used our own ball, so each team had their own ball. The majority of the time, except for sliding into bases and things of that nature and being in the dugout, you're separated. Our coaches imposed that they should have masks within the dugout. So we do that. We socially distance and they properly clean their locker room and everything else when they finish. They all use their own individual equipment. They're not sharing helmets or things of that nature. I tell you all of this to say
that even though this seems like a temporary decision, like it's not a big deal, we'll reevaluate this in 7 days. 7 days in a lot of these sports without practice or play and not being able to participate in games, their season's over. So all of these hours that they spend every single week preparing for this, their sport, it's done. Academics are equally important to me. I've had that conversation. Like Miss Jacobs, people think the same like you do of your athlete, that those feel like their student. My child also excels in school. My child also takes those advanced placement classes. But I'm here before you to say that if my child has to do her education virtually, it's not ideal. I don't really like that. But that is something that a 2-week delay in her education or her taking an extra 24 hours to grasp the concept that she otherwise could have grasped in 1 day is not going to change the outcome of her education. I think she will still get that. However, I will say it will change the outcome of this sport. The sport will be done.
My presumption is I'm next.
Yes, sir.
In case y'all were wondering why I was standing behind Samantha, Nick Saban has a handler and so does she. It's real simple. No man stands so tall, or woman. No man stands so tall as when he stoops to help a child. You've heard your kids. You've heard the people that you were elected to think about, to consider. Let's talk about some facts. What is the leading cause of death for a high school teenager? Accidents, followed closely by suicide. I heard a young lady right here get up and tell you she's had enough. It's her senior year. I heard her plead. We talked about how we've consulted other districts. I asked you one question, and I'll leave you with this, because I can't make a better closing argument than what these folks did. And again, I'm here as a parent, not as a lawyer. It's unfortunate 2 lawyers had to finish this public speaking, but I ask you this, one question. Why are we not as good as Glenn? Why are we not as good as Ware? Why are we not as good as other districts who said, look, we'll do virtual, but we're not going to take the seniors' extracurricular activities away. We're not going to take the kid who gets to play one last season away. Because you're not going to let these kids come back next year and say, hey, I'm sorry you didn't get to play football last year. Come play today. Come play this year. You can't. You won't. It's impossible. I'm begging you, reevaluate your protocol. Allow these kids to play. You talk about how you want to help kids. Read your quote. Look at your death rate with COVID and your hospital rate with COVID for kids these age. If somebody doesn't want to get vaccinated and walks around without a mask, that's their right as an American. Fine. If somebody wants to get vaccinated and wear a mask like me and get up here and talk, fine. These kids did not choose this pandemic, but they're the ones who are suffering. One last thing. Last night, Odom General, 12 ATVs packed with kids riding up and down the road. Yesterday at Walmart, I counted 42 school-aged kids running around in Walmart at 3:15. There's no way. All I can do is pray that you reconsider your protocol and let the seniors have as much as I've heard them say, normalcy as possible. Thank you for your time.
We'll move on to our discussion information. We'll have a COVID update from the school.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman. Board, I understand that it is your desire to get an update from me and from my information that I have as we've been managing this situation and our protocols. We have said from the very beginning that the positive cases and the number of confirmed cases in our schools is fluid. We monitor those numbers and respond in many cases week to week, but also in many cases we respond hour to hour. We also respond day to day. We look at numbers of bodies in the schools. both adults and students. Initially, our numbers began to increase daily, stacking on top of each other for the first 2 to 3 weeks of school. Because of the 10 to 14 day mitigation timeframe, positive cases were coming on, but not really coming off. From the first day of school on August 9th to the beginning of the second week of school, our numbers of positive cases increased by 97%. From week 2 to week 3, our numbers increased approximately 170%. At the conclusion of week 3, our numbers had increased approximately 280% positive cases since the beginning of school. On Sunday, August the 29th, numbers were published that indicated the need to transition to distance learning based on established and communicated protocols. During the first 3 weeks of school, our numbers increased significantly. However, as we anticipated that after 2 or 3 weeks of increased positive numbers, we would begin removing positive cases from our count as a result of the 10 to 14 day mitigation period. Monday of this week, we experienced a significant decrease in positive cases on our school and system rosters, simply because of the 10 to 14 day mitigation period. Our increased number of added positive cases from the previous 2 to 3 weeks are now mitigating off the list. So there's a balance between the numbers that come on every day and the numbers that come off. From Friday of last week to Monday afternoon of this week, 3 days ago, our current positive cases in the schools dropped from over 4% to 2.8%. On Tuesday of this week, our numbers dropped again to 2.4%, and yesterday, Wednesday, our numbers dropped a third day to 2.3%. Our hopes are that this continues, but 3 days of decreasing numbers is not a trend. These numbers can go up just as quickly as they have come down. We are optimistic that the numbers posted on Sunday of this week will reflect a continuation of decreased numbers and percents of positive cases, and hopefully with 5 days of data with regard to positive cases, we will begin to see a trend for decreasing numbers. Currently, that is where we sit as of this morning with regard to the number of positive cases in our school system. Our protocols call for us to respond to specific percentages and numbers of cases. As of today, based on the numbers that I have, we are at 2.3%. It would be, I would counsel and advise that if the numbers published on Sunday of this week reflect a trend downward in positive cases in our schools, that the board take into consideration reinstating extracurricular activities to begin Monday of next week, which would be September the 6th. I would also recommend that if we experience a trend downward in our positive cases, which will be reflected in the publication Sunday afternoon, that those numbers would warrant consideration from the board and support me in continuing distant learning for Tuesday, which would be September the 7th, the day after the holiday, and Wednesday, September the 8th, and allowing us to transition back to the hybrid model beginning Thursday of next week. Again, extracurricular activities would be reinstated on Monday, September the 6th, while we transition back to the hybrid to begin on Thursday of next week. I believe this response holds true to our numbers. I believe this response holds true to our protocols. And it allows our parents, our students, and our teachers the opportunity to readjust and prepare for entry back into the hybrid model. It is also my desire to express to you and to everyone in this room that we need help. We need assistance from our students. We need assistance from our parents, and we need assistance from our community to take all applicable steps to do everything possible within their power to help us mitigate these numbers so that we do not have to consider going back to a distance learning model. As of right now, those are the numbers that I have.
Mr. Superintendent, I don't think the board needs to take official action that we've heard your report, and I feel that it will be a necessary step to allow you to use this document as a working document like it was created to. Move forward, and if the numbers on the official reporting day reflect what you're telling us for the data trend, that we will proceed with moving forward with the recommendations that you are presenting if nobody else has any objections.
I have absolutely no objections to that. I feel like that is fair and plausible. But I also would like to tell the students that I am actually proud that you have stood up and came to speak with us. That is a true sign of leadership. And like me, don't ever be afraid to voice your opinion. You know, it's okay. I don't want anybody in here to even think that we would even be upset with you for coming here. That lets me know that the future of Wayne County is very bright because we got somebody that can stand up and lead and speak. And I appreciate you all. I'm not sure if you all know, I'm sure you do, but you know, I'm a former coach, former Wayne County athletic participant, played basketball, softball, ran track as well, went to state, did all those good things as well. But I do want to plead for you, just like Dr. Kelly said. I plead that not only in the schools, that if you have any influence in athletes, you got some power, buddy. Okay? As peer pressure, you got more power than a teacher ever would have on the influence of kids and in your peers. Talk to your peers about mitigating factors. I'm not pushing vaccines or anything like that, but even just something as simple as don't throw your straw on the ground, put it in the trash. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you want to be in school. I know you want to experience, all the good of going to prom and those type of things. But I do want to remind everybody also that pretty much last year, our seasons pretty much were intact, except I think may have volleyball may have gotten, a short end of the stick, but football season went the entire season, and basketball for the most part went the entire season and everything. So last year, it was a little strained with some of the mitigating factors that we had in place, but that was so that we could stay in school. So I'm pleading with you. I am pleading with you. If, like I've been told not only by kids, but also by a parent yesterday that there are big parties going on at Lake Grace or Grace Lake, however you say it. I'm pleading for y'all. That's all I'm asking y'all, okay? Because I do love Wayne County. That ain't no secret. But like I say, I'm proud of y'all for being here.
Mr. Chairman, I think you can see we are looking at working numbers. Like Miss Daniel, not to toot the horn or anything, I was extracurricular. I'm a product of a scholarship. Only way I could afford to go to college. Came back and taught and coached in the school system. I also was fortunate to be the high school principal for a couple of years. And the one question, I'm not singling her out, but how can you look us in the eyes and tell us that we can't participate in sports? We just got an email. We've lost a employee in the school system. How many of you have been to graduation? Most of you? How many of you, unfortunately, every year seems like, maybe last year we didn't, but every year there's one or two or three chairs with a wreath in it. So my point is this. How do I look you in the eyes knowing that we didn't do everything we could to keep you alive? Sports are important. Education is more important. But your life is the most important thing to us and your parents. So it's not that we do hear you, but you're one slice of the pie, and we've got over 6,000 slices that we have to try to take care of. It's a big task. One day you'll be a parent. You'll understand how much it means to be blessed with a child. We're not trying to harm you. We are Wayne County. So we'll work through this together. I think you can see Dr. Kelly is looking at the numbers very closely. We'll do everything we can to get you back, but we're going to try to do it safely. So most importantly is your health. And one of the teachers emailed us just a minute ago, and mention that. Here's our last comment. We teachers are stressed and distance learning has its own set of challenges and frustrations for everyone involved. However, many of us do recognize and appreciate your stance to protect the employees and students in our county when there truly are no good options available. This is one of your teachers. So your health, your safety is our primary concern at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Kelly, the reduction from 4% to approximately 4% to 2.3%, was that mainly due to infections dropping off after the quarantine period? Or did we also have a decrease in positive tests from students?
It's both, Mr. Davidson. I would say it's more a result of, those initial several days of school having high numbers of positive cases are now mitigating off the list. However, we are experiencing a small decline in the number of positives that are reported every day. And we hope that it will continue that way. We anticipate, our projections are that we will continue to lose more and more off the list now that we are in our 4th week of school. And if we have less positives, then our numbers should trend down. And as long as our numbers stay down, then we want to move back to, those specific areas of the protocol sheet. Our goal is to be in school. Our goal is to educate. Our goal is to go back face to face at hopefully at some point, 5 days a week. But, right now we're having to deal with the numbers, I'm an athlete too. I went to college and played just like all these guys want to. And there's nothing that I value more than being on the field other than the health and safety of our kids and our staff.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Students, parents, educators, we love each other. And collectively, our goal is to keep you as safe as we can. We hear you clearly how important your extracurricular activities are. So we're going to challenge you to help us keep these numbers decreasing. As Ms. Daniel said, each of you guys have friends that look up to you. Encourage them to do the right thing. When it's appropriate, wear a mask. When it's appropriate, social distance. We hear you. We want the best for you. And we plead for you to help us to help you. Thank you.
Everybody said the same thing I would say.
We have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone did question and ask me about, we decided to go hybrid. And once we decided to go hybrid, it was a couple of days later that we decided that we needed to go virtual. And I guess the question was about a timeline and spacing between, the reception of data and how do we go about doing that? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And our goal is to try to work on at least 2-week cycles. But sometimes the amount of positive cases don't allow us to wait that long to make a response. Just like right now, my goal was to go to distance learning for 2 weeks. However, our numbers now dictate, that we can move back into a hybrid model. We can reinstate extracurriculars. And so, I don't want to wait 2 weeks when we have the numbers we have now. Ideally 2 weeks helps us establish a trend pattern, but, we purposely did not say that, we would do this type of a timeline so that we could have flexibility to move in and out of the protocols as necessary. And unfortunately, we had to move in because of the number of positive cases. Now, we're able to move back a little bit, and I don't think it would be appropriate for us to wait 2 weeks just for the sake of waiting 2 weeks.
Right. Because that was just such a high difference between hybrid and virtual. That's the reason why we had to go. So now we're going back because it's great difference.
Rose very quickly. Our community numbers did the same. Ms. Armstrong and I talk every day. Most days we talk multiple times, and we look at numbers throughout the day, trying to prepare for what might be coming, the next day or the day after. And we've seen spikes. Now, thank goodness, we're seeing a little bit of plateau. We're actually seeing a little bit of decrease. Hopefully, it will continue that way. But, like I said, we need the help. These guys, I think, understand what can happen if our numbers continue to increase. Hopefully, we can slow that down a little bit.
Okay, and the last thing I'm gonna say and be done with it is, I want to send my condolences to one of our paras, Shonda Curtis, who lost her son this past week, and as well as the McCray family.
Dr. Kelly, I certainly appreciate the work that you and Ms. Armstrong and all of our central office administrators are doing. I just think that there's a little more work that we should be doing as a district to help communicate the board's expectations and your expectations to our administrative team, all of our school level leaders, and all of our coaches and advisors of our extracurricular. It seems to me that a lot of listening to the students, that a lot of the concerns or a lot of the comments that they're stating, and that what put them in this position of fear or thinking that we were operating off of fear was because there was a lot of information to say that we were uncertain about the direction that we were moving in. As I've expressed to the people that have called and reached out to me, my expectation and this board's expectation is that we are using this as a working document, as you said. Numbers roll on, numbers roll off. And we will not be waiting until a 2-week time period for every situation. We did not officially take action to lock you into that for that very reason. And so I just want that to be communicated to all of our administrators, all of our coaches, and all of our advisors, so that when they speak with students and parents, that information is speaking the same language that this board and that you are putting out. We're not locked into a time. We're looking at the data, we're observing, and we're having constant communication. I do not go by your office every single day, and I do not call you every day. And I don't do that because that is micromanaging the superintendent. But I do look to hear from you from time to time, expressing the data, telling us what is going on so that I can communicate it with the rest of the board members. And each board member has the opportunity every single day to call and get that current data and not wait on me if they so choose. Some of them wait till I call, and some of them take the initiative to call on their own. But we are not in the business of micromanaging you. We put out policies, we put out procedures, and we ask that you use those, and you use your wisdom, and you use your team to help you make decisions, and that is the expectation of this board. And our administrators and our school level leaders have got to follow suit with that so that we can have a good operation, so that we can communicate and be transparent with students and parents so that the emotions don't become that we're doing things that is not fair. We want to be fair. We want to provide y'all with opportunities. I certainly enjoy watching every one of y'all perform and do all the wonderful things. I work security at most of your events for free because I can't get paid as a school board. I'm there to support you, just like I'm there to support my kids who also participate with y'all. And we want that. We did not want those numbers to be what they were on Sunday. And we didn't even call each other on Sunday or talk to each other because we were hopeful that Monday would put us in a position where we didn't have to go to that. But by 11:30, when Dr. Kelly said there's not enough to roll off, we're still here and we won't see the decrease until a couple of days of data is gotten, then we had to move into our next level. That's all I want to say, Dr. Kelly. I will ask you to look at our hybrid learning module. I think that we need to put some more mitigating factors, as we heard from Ms. Jacobs. There are some CDC guidelines that are there for us to look at concerning sports and concerning our school operations. And we certainly want to use those to help us make decisions because I don't want to go back to a distance learning module. I think once we reach the level of a hybrid learning where we're bringing in half of the students on Monday and Tuesday and half of the students on Thursday and Friday, we need to do everything we can in that line item to make sure that we don't go to distance learning. That means that I will be in favor of incorporating a mask mandate for that provision only. For the targeted and normal operations, I would ask that we continue to not mandate masks in those areas, but once we reach the level of mitigating the hybrid model, that we add some more protective measures to keep us from moving into the distance learning model.
I will say, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not sympathetic to what y'all are there for too, but I have a granddaughter in high school who plays volleyball. I was hoping Tuesday afternoon to go watch her play volleyball for Frederica, but I didn't get to. I've got a daughter that's a principal and she's at home right now with COVID. I've got another daughter that's 33 weeks pregnant in the hospital with COVID pneumonia right now. I know it can affect everybody. I want everybody to be as safe as possible. I understand how important it is. But I also understand the safety aspect of it too. Please don't think we don't care. We do care. But we deal with it just like y'all do. So thank you.
I do have a question when dealing with the mask. Last year, I was under the impression and understood that each teacher would have a supply of masks in the classroom. Now, I will tell you, 5 masks is not a supply of masks. They should have a box of masks. We should never have an elementary kid come to class and that elementary kid has a dirty mask on, or that kid is going to lunch and we don't have the means necessary to rectify that problem. So, if at all possible, if each teacher could have a box of masks at their disposal in their classroom to assist and help out kids in this situation. You know, a kid may not come up to you and tell you that, well, my mom can't get any masks for me, or I lost my mask. You know, elementary kids, they're going to lose stuff. Oh my God, I could be burned to Coke factory if I had all the Cokes that I bought for Bootney over the years, because, you know, when they're in school, they're going to lose stuff. So that's my only concern with that, is that we make sure that we have the supplies necessary for that. And the federal government, as well as the state of Georgia, has given us funding for that purpose.
I have a couple other things on the COVID update. Initially, our initial COVID protocols said that we would not host vaccination sites at the schools. However, in considering the number of positive cases, we have an opportunity to host a vaccination site at one of our schools for adults, not for students, but for adults, strictly on a voluntary basis. That will be very discreet. We would like to take advantage of that to give adults an opportunity to be vaccinated if they so choose at one of our high schools. And so unless there is opposition from the board, we probably are going to move forward with plans for that, if that's okay. And also, the only other thing about COVID that I wanted to mention is that we have had a local business. Dr. Burgess has been working closely with our business community, and Jessup Wireless has agreed to provide assistance with Wi-Fi service to those families that may not have it if they meet specific low-income guidelines. And there is a process for that to happen. And once those things are ironed out, Dr. Burgess will be working with the business owner to assist in that, to help secure Wi-Fi access for some of those needy families who don't have it. So that is all that I have regarding COVID. Right. Well, I do want to say one other thing. We will publish information through the normal channels, social media, website, local media on Sunday afternoon, providing information as to what we will do beginning Monday with regard to how the numbers are and what they are, so that there can be no misinformation or doubt as to what we're going to do beginning on Monday and the rest of next week.
Are y'all wanting to discuss anything about adding mitigating factors, or do you want to give the superintendent time to work on that and maybe entertain having a call meeting or something of that nature?
Yeah, we have a meeting on September the 9th.
Yes, we have a call from board retreat. I can add that to it. Do you need that time, Dr. Kelly?
Or
Um,
what's your suggestion?
Well, first thing is, in order for me to do anything about mitigating factors that include mask mandate, the board's gonna have to take action to rescind the vote that was done in a prior meeting. So, I can't do anything. Now, it won't take us long to make those plans and add that to the protocol list. It won't take us very long at all. But, before I can publish anything or require anything, then it will need to be, action will need to be taken by the board.
So do y'all want me to add that to the agenda for next week for the board retreat? That'll give you time to gather your thoughts on what you want to do. We do again have to take action on rescinding that, or we have to make a new action. So,
Right.
Ms. Landon, if you would add that to the agenda of the board retreat on next week, if you would add COVID protocols to the beginning of that meeting, we'll address that before we start the retreat on next Thursday.
And we want to reiterate that this is in an effort to keep our kids so that they are able to remain active.
And like I said, this is not for everyday operations. And I think that the sensible thing to do would be to add it to a level where we see an increase. As long as we're in normal targeted operations, there's no need to do a mask mandate. But when we get to the point where we're about to shut down, we got to do some more things, or we're going to end up shutting down.
I do want to ask about that, and I'm not saying it would have to go for the entire year. I guess I'm wondering, why would you wait till it get to that point to do that? And I'll give you an example. I'm going to get deep with it. I'm going to give you an example. My mother died of multiple myeloma. We go to the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic tells my mom, well, when you get in stage 4, it's a type of cancer. We get in stage 4, then we'll do this treatment. We say, well, you know, she already has it. Why are you going to wait till she get to stage 4? You know, she's almost in stage 3. The doctor thought about it and said, okay, you're absolutely right. So we're going to go ahead and try to head this off at the pass. And by doing that, it gave her a little more time. So I'm just saying that, why wouldn't you head it off at the pass before it happens? Then, and I'm not saying that nothing is 100%. In fact, the vaccine is what, 97, 95, 97%. So there's a 3% chance of you still getting the virus, but the likelihood of you living and, not suffering as bad is it increases with that mitigating factor. So I'm just putting it out there.
Move on to our financial management. Concerning our millage rate, we had no public participation concerning that millage rate, and so I move that we accept the millage rate proposal as presented. Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Whitfield?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll move into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, compensation, disciplinary action, or dismissal, periodic evaluation of rate of a public officer, or interview applicants for the position of superintendent. Motion for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
Second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McKissick?
Yes, ma'am.
Personnel recommendations for September 2nd. Certified recommendations, Brittany Prescott, Jessica Elementary, Hope Wright, Arthur Williams. Certified resignations, Jennifer Castro, Jessica Elementary. Motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations as presented.
So move.
Moved and second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McKissick?
Yes, ma'am.
Coach Matt?
I don't have a whole lot, just to stress that safety is paramount, I think, with this board. Parents, I've heard a couple of you frustrated that we're flip-flopping. We're trying to get kids in the building, but our protocol will determine what we're going to do. So we're trying to follow the policy we've set forward. Dr. Kelly's doing a good job of keeping up with it, and we're going to do the best we can and stay safe.
I pretty much said enough. Can get Mr. Joe Mack back to the grandkids. And I just want to say that our goal, I would be safe to say as a board, is to try to get us back to full in person so our kids can actually benefit from the instructional learning on a 5-day-a-week plan. So Wayne County, let's just do this and do it together.
We've said it, we're trying to get kids back to school, that's the one thing. Being safe, do it. It'd be great to have as much help as possible.
That's great. I just want to close with this. I've heard some concerns about the flip-flopping, but as you see, the challenges that we have as a district, when we talk about going distance learning, we have Wi-Fi and connectivity issues, which means that some kids won't have community connectivity. There are churches that are stepping up to open up their social halls and open up their classrooms, and we certainly appreciate that help and support. We have local businesses that have already offered to give services, and that's what it's going to take, the community working together. But us staying in a distance learning model is not the intent of our protocol, and nor is it the intent of this board. We want our kids to be in school, and we want them to be at their activities, because for a lot of kids in this district, school is the safest place for them to be, and them participating keeps them from doing things that would cause them to become juvenile delinquents. So I appreciate the work of this board, Dr. Kelly, appreciate you and all of your staff members. Move forward.
Only thing I have is, we appreciate the board on behalf of the students and staff. Thank you so much for your guidance, and we will take the appropriate actions as you guys have directed. Thank you.
Adjourn by acclamation.